Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear you. Good evening, everyone. The time is 5:16 p.m. and knowing that we do have 3 board members, we've got 2 present and 1 online. Since we've got quorum, we're ready to proceed. So I'd like to call this meeting to order. Again at 5:16 p.m. Let's see. I'll begin with our tribal land acknowledgement. In partnership with the tribes who called Phoenix their home first, we acknowledge and respect the land our schools are built on. We commit to being a strong partner with any and all tribal nations who entrust their children to our schools. We are grateful and honored to be partners. With that, may we please have a roll call for attendance? Mrs. Schitt?
Roll call for Miss Erica De La Rosa,
Aye, here.
Dr. Alicia Vink, President Carmen Trujillo,
Here.
Miss Erica Ovalle,
Present.
With that, we do have quorum to proceed. Please join me in the Pledge of Allegiance if you wish to do so. Thank you very much. With that, we'll move on to the adoption of our agenda. Do we have any recommendations for our agenda this evening, Dr. Bowman?
President Trujillo, the administration recommends you adopt the agenda as presented.
Thank you very kindly. I move that we adopt our agenda as presented. Do we have a second?
Erica De La Rosa, I second.
Thank you kindly. May we please have a roll call vote?
Miss Erica De La Rosa,
Aye.
President Trujillo,
Aye.
Miss Ovalle,
Aye.
Thank you. With that, our motion passes and we'll move on to our current events summary. Do we have a current event summary for our superintendent's report this evening?
Yes, as the acting superintendent,
Awesome.
I have a few items. One is the Kappa Alpha Psi fraternity held their international conference in Phoenix, July 1 through July 6th. While here, the Kappas volunteered their time to read to PESD #1 to Phoenix #1 students enrolled at the Gable Boys and Girls Club summer program and at the Y Academy at Monterey Park. Over 30 readers spent quality time with our students to share their love of a story. All the books the Kappas shared were gifted to the Gable Boys and Girls Club and the Y Academy at Monterey Park. Additionally, the Kappa Alpha Psi also committed to gifting a book to every incoming kindergarten student this next year. We're incredibly grateful to the Kappa Alpha Psi for this wonderful new partnership. Additionally, classroom teacher vacancies, general ed classroom teacher vacancies, we are down to 1 to hire. And that's only because we had a resignation that we got yesterday. So I was hoping to be able to share tonight that we were at 0, but we will be soon. And kudos go out to all of our hiring, our principals and our supervisors. They've done just an amazing job this hiring season. So I wanted to say thanks for that. And then just as a gentle reminder to all the governing board members and our staff, the back to school rally, it's coming. It's going to be here really soon. It's going to be held on Tuesday, August 29th from 9 o'clock to 11 o'clock at the Performing Arts Center at Herrera. So just as a reminder, and that concludes the acting superintendent report.
Thank you, Dr. Bowman. Especially thank you for being here while Dr. Gonzalez is out on her leave. Moving on, do we have any board members' reports to share? All right, hearing none, I will just echo the gratitude for the stories you just shared and the books that we've received for our students. And I'm looking forward to our back to school rally and all of the events that'll kick off at school. So look out for your local school, for your students back to school, meet the teacher night, look out for those. School does resume on July 30th, 2025 this year. So we're excited to get closer to a new school year. And with that, we will move to take action to adjourn to public hearing. I move that we adjourn to public hearing at 5:21 PM. Do we have a second?
Erica De La Rosa, I second.
Thank you. May we have a roll call vote, Mrs. Ship?
Ms. De La Rosa,
Aye.
President Trujillo,
Aye.
Ms. Ovalle,
Aye.
Thank you. With that, we will move on to item C1. The call for public hearing is a call to the public to provide, to hear and provide community input on the district's proposed budget for fiscal year 2025 through 2026 for consideration of adoption later on. Mr. Whittle, the floor is yours.
Madam President, members of the board, Dr. Bowman, fellow cabinet members, thank you for allowing me to speak here this evening on our proposed fiscal year 26 budget. Just want to go over the proposed budget we did a couple weeks ago. Nothing has changed from our proposed to our adopted budget. When we did present the proposed budget, there was no state approved fiscal year 26 budget. That has recently changed. We do have a state budget that Governor Hobbs has signed into law. We projected our base level amount at the 2% constitutional increase. That's exactly what we got. So what we projected on our proposed, that's why we didn't change it for our adopted, because it's exactly what we projected. There was some changes in our route miles. There was a 6 cents increase in our route miles. It's going to add about an additional $800 to the budget, but I don't think that's a significant amount to change the proposed to the adopted, and especially with us not getting a state budget approved until, kind of later in the season, we just kind of let that go. Now, another thing is the state also approved the AEL, the aggregate expenditure limit, for 2 years. So in 3 years, we're going to come back to the board and we're going to say, hey, the AEL aggregate expenditure limit is a problem again. This is going to be an ongoing problem. It's a formula that was created back in the 80s when the state didn't have the population that it has now. So it is an inflation rate as well. The AEL did not include inflation rates. So I want to let the board know that's for 2 years. Prop 123 did sunset this past fiscal year. It was something that was included in the governor's signed budget. However, we're still learning more about how much each district's going to get. All the CFOs in Maricopa County, we are on a Zoom on July 21st, where we're going to learn more about that formula. We will see a December revision. Now, when we did the proposed and the adopted budgets, we did them on the Auditor General's preliminary budget forms. Since the governor signed the fiscal year 26 state budget, Auditor General's office did release the final budget forms. And typically when you do them on a preliminary form, you want to keep the proposed and adopted on the preliminary forms. If you do them on the final budget forms, you want to keep them on the final budget forms. So on our December revision, we will switch those numbers over to our final budget forms. We're still projecting about a $1 million budget balance carry forward going into 26 from 25. So with that, nothing's changed. Budget's looking pretty good. I'll take any questions the board might have.
Thank you, Mr. Whittle. So when you say we're still projecting the $1 million carry forward, can you clarify that with the $2 million number that we've got on the proposed one? Just so I understand, are we talking about the budget that we're leaving?
Yeah, where are you seeing the 2 million?
Budget balance carry forward, 2 million on,
Okay, so
The last page, but-
yeah, that's for our capital. So our capital, we're going to see about a $2 million budget
got
balance
it.
carry forward. Sorry, that was my mistake. On our M&O budget balance carry forward, we'll see about $1 million. On our capital, we'll see about a $2 million budget balance carry.
my apologies, just wanted to, I was reading that last part of the page and I should have been on the page before that, so I appreciate the clarification. You said that we do have the state budget in now. So may I ask what would be, are there any differences from the budget that we presented last meeting, compared to this one, or did everything pretty much stay the same
pretty much stayed the same. Now, when the district adopted their budget last July,
Mhm.
there was a transfer of capital. A full amount of about 2.5 million was transferred over from capital to M&O. We did not do that on this, on these budgets. One of the things, whenever I spoke to the board back in March, was the Auditor General's office is really looking at the transfer of capital money to M&O because you're transferring capital expenditures over to operational expenditures. I looked on the Auditor General's website today to go over kind of the financial risk factor, and Phoenix Elementary was at a high risk for transferring capital over to M&O. So we want to try and steer away from that so that we do have that balanced budget going forward.
Perfect. Right, that's all the questions I've got at the moment. Any other questions?
No questions for me. Thank you so much for the explanations of the budget today.
No problem.
Thank you. Do we have any public input that would like to come forward? Any community? All right, hearing none. Let's see, it is 5:27 PM. With that, we will complete the public hearing and resume to regular session at 5:27 PM. And with that, we'll move on to community communications. Now is the time for this governing board meetings, opportunity for community communications. Do we have in-person or electronic comments this evening? Just the one? All right, whenever you're ready, Mrs. Ship.
Our electronic community communications comment is from Paul Booth. School Board, this letter expresses strong opposition to the proposed 15-year sole vendor contract with Teach for America, TFA, for teacher placement within the school district. While the goals of improving educational equity and filling teacher vacancies are acknowledged, this long-term exclusive contract model carries risk and potential drawbacks that may harm students and the community. Concerns are based on several factors, including, number one, lack of competition and potential for inflated costs. A sole vendor contract for an extended period eliminates the benefits of a competitive bidding process. This can lead to decreased price transparency and potential inflated costs for the district, limiting the ability to ensure the best value for investments in teacher recruitment and training. Number two, limited innovation and potential for stagnation. Relying on a single vendor for 15 years can limit exposure to new ideas and innovative solutions in teacher preparation and professional development. This potential stagnation could be detrimental in a constantly evolving educational landscape, hindering the ability to implement cutting-edge practices that benefit students. Number three, dependence on a single supplier. A long-term sole vendor relationship creates significant dependence on TFA. Should TFA experience any issues, such as changing in their program focus, funding challenges, or reductions in recruitment success, the district could face considerable disruption to its staffing and education programs. Number four, concerns about teacher turnover and experience. Studies indicate that TFA Corps members have a relatively high rate of leaving their placement schools after fulfilling their 2-year commitment, with about half leaving their placement school and only 15% remaining after 5 years. While some research suggests TFA teachers can be effective even with limited experience, high turnover can burden school administrators, disrupt instruction, and exacerbate inequalities. A 15-year commitment to this model may not adequately address the need for long-term teacher stability in schools. Number five, perception of favoritism and lack of transparency. Awarding a contract of this magnitude without a competitive bidding process can raise concerns about favoritism and lack of transparency among stakeholders. It's crucial for the school board to demonstrate that all viable options were considered to ensure the district is making the best possible decision for its students and community. The school board is urged to reconsider this proposal and explore alternative options that involve competitive bidding and allow for greater flexibility, transparency, and the potential to partner with a diverse range of teacher preparation programs and vendors. A more open and inclusive approach to teacher recruitment and training will benefit students and strengthen the school district. Thank you for your time and consideration of this matter.
Thank you, Mrs. Ship. My apologies. I meant to make a note that members of the board may not discuss items that are not specifically on the agenda, and any actions taken as a result of public comment will be limited to directing staff to study the matter my apologies, respond to criticism or reschedule the matter for further consideration at a later date. Thank you, Mrs. Ship, for reading that for us. With that, we'll move on to our approval of our consent agenda. Our consent agenda lists several routine items for approval of the board by a single motion in an effort to maximize meeting efficiency and prioritize available time for strategic discussion and action. Consent agendas work when materials are reviewed in advance and questions can be asked, so board members vote informedly. The items listed under consent agenda have gone through the superintendent's cabinet review and recommendation to the governing board. I move that we approve our consent agenda. Do we have a second?
This is Erica Ovalle, and I second.
Thank you very much. Mrs. Ship, may we please have a roll call vote?
Ms. De La Rosa,
Aye.
President Trujillo,
Aye.
Ms. Ovalle,
Aye.
Thank you. With that, our motion passes. And we will move on to our action items. I guess we wouldn't have to bring Mr. Whittle back up, but F1 is the request for approval of our proposed budget as the adopted budget. So I move that we approve our proposed fiscal year 2025-2026 budget as the adopted budget. Do we have a second?
Erica De La Rosa, I second.
Thank you. Any discussion? I asked all my questions earlier, so I'm okay. We're good to go. Hearing none, may we please have a roll call vote, Ms. Ship?
Ms. De La Rosa,
Aye.
President Trujillo,
Aye.
Ms. Ovalle,
Aye.
Thank you. With that, our motion passes. And we will briefly move on to closing items. G1, do we have any board member requests or future agenda items? Hearing none, we will move on to adjournment. The time is 5:33. I move that we adjourn our meeting at 5:33 p.m. Do we have a second?
Erica Ovalle, and I second.
Thank you kindly. May we please have a roll call vote?
Ms. De La Rosa,
Aye.
President Trujillo,
Aye.
Ms. Ovalle,
Aye.
With that, our meeting adjourns at 5:34 p.m. And I think that's the quickest meeting I've ever participated in my life. This was not, I didn't anticipate it going this fast, but thank you everyone for being here. Our next board meeting is going to be on July 29th, 2025 here in the governing board room at 5:15.